Turn that on. Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the Local Agency Formation Commission of Sacramento County. The meeting is called to order. Will the clerk please read the roll?
Yes. Directors Little.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Wickert.
Yes, here.
Desmond. Hume.
Here.
Pratton.
Here.
And Pluckybaum. You have a quorum with the members that are present.
Thank you very much. Let's see. Well, Mr. Hume, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Please address the flag and recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Do we have any announcements?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this meeting of the Sacramento Local Agency Formation Commission is live and recorded with closed captioning. It is cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the Local Government Affairs channel on the Comcast and DirecTV UVerse cable systems. It is also live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Sunday, June 7th at 2 p.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of this meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. This concludes your announcement.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
That would be item 1.
Correct.
Okay, the public is encouraged to address the commission concerning any matter not on the agenda. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. The commission is prohibited from discussing or taking any action on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. And at this time, we do not have any speaker slips for requests to speak.
Thank you. Would you please read the next item into the record?
The next item is the consent calendar to approve items 2 through 8.
Mr. Chair, I move consent.
I would like to, Mr. Chair, if I might,
Okay.
I would like to ask that the action summary for April 1st be discussed.
Okay. Well,
I would second the rest of the consent items.
okay. Well, we can pull that out.
Okay, may I read that into the record, please?
Correct.
Item 2 is approve the meeting action summary for April 1st, 2026.
Yes, that's the one I'd like to discuss.
Go ahead.
The other two, the other ones I would move, or I would actually second.
I accept the friendly.
Okay.
I accept the friendly motion.
I have a question on item number 6.
Item number 6 is annual review and approval of ongoing consulting contracts.
Thank you. So I was looking through that, and I noticed that one of the contracts to be renewed is with CV Strategies, and it's a retainer not to exceed $2,500 a month, which is supposedly commensurate with 15 hours worth of work. Given that there are obviously months where we don't meet and even months where we would meet, but we cancel those meetings. Can you quantify that we're actually getting roughly 15 hours of work a month?
It essentially averages out to 15 hours a month. So you're right. There are some months in which the commission doesn't meet. However, that doesn't mean that there isn't some background information that's going on from administrative matters. And in addition, some months are heavier than others. So we don't get charged for the overage on those months. It just averages out throughout the year.
Okay. So in other words, then the roughly whatever that would be, $27,000, $28,000 annual, we don't normally exceed that amount.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, you may vote.
Thank you.
Your motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Would you please read the next item?
Yes,
Can we
Mr.
discuss item 2?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I wanted to
I
discuss item
apologize.
2.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My recollection is that at the meeting in April, we approved an annual update for the Florin County Water District. And that is not reflected in these meeting summaries, and I believe that it ought to be added.
That can be added.
Excellent.
And it's an administrative change because you're right, that would be more reflective of the action that the commission took in April. So it doesn't have to, you can approve the minutes with that change, and we can do it without having to bring it back.
I would move that. Thank you.
Second. Good catch.
Okay. All right. Let's vote on item 2. Is it applicable? Okay, your motion passes unanimously for item 2.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Chair, item 9 is review the parameters for a lease for 1000 G Suite 380 and authorize the executive officer to sign a lease consistent with them.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, the lease on the current LAFCO offices at 1112 I Street expires in August. We've been in that space for about 25 years at least, and the needs of the business have changed. And in addition, the space that we have, we needed to essentially be able to both expand without increasing the footprint. And also, we have an opportunity to co-sign or co-lease a space with the California Association of LAFCOs, saving this agency money. So, with the help of a real estate, commercial real estate agent, we viewed different spaces, and we came to land at 1000 G. Which is 2 blocks west, 2 blocks north of our current location. So we're still within the grid. We're still within driving distance of most of the places that we typically drive to as staff. And in addition, like I said, it allows us for expanding to use the space more efficiently. So the space is a little bit larger. The rent is a little bit bigger. However, we would only be paying was it 72% of the rent? Because CalAFCO will be using 28% of that space. So it ended up being, I think, a really good deal for everybody. The building also has some amenities that we did not have access to at 1112A Street, for example. It's got a large conference room. So in case the commission wanted to have a special meeting, there's a larger space for you to meet, as well as to have the public be able to attend. It also has more conference rooms that we can utilize. The office itself, we will have a small conference room for us, but if we're meeting with other parties that cannot fit into that space, we can rent a larger conference room space within, not rent, but it's included. We can reserve, I should say, a larger space within the building to have meetings. So for the Special District Advisory Committee, in case we have a meeting in which we can't find a home, that can also be hosted at 1000 G. So my preference was actually to bring you the lease for you to approve. We're still working out a little bit of the details. We're like at the 99% there. But we're drafting the final language as we speak. So once the lease is essentially approved by both parties, I'll send that out to you. I can also put it in the next meeting's packet as well. So the action today is the request that as long as we stay within the parameters that are in the staff memo, that you authorize me to sign that lease for LAFCO's administrative offices. The lease, is indicated in the staff report, is 5 years, but we have 2 5-year options, 5 years each, to extend it. So it ends up working out really well, and clearly we're long-term tenants in various spaces. So that is the action, and would request that you provide the authorization.
Mr. Chair, I move staff's recommendation. I've looked it over, and it ends up being about $43.70 for LAFCO, and so there's a really good cost-sharing opportunity with the state association. So I move staff's recommendation.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any Further discussion? No? Okay.
We do not have any public comment on this item as well.
Okay.
Your motion passes unanimously.
Next item, please.
The next item is update on the public members selection selection process.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I gave an update last month relating to the terms for the public member and the alternate public member being up at the end of this year. We started the circulation process per the government code. All of the local agencies, with the exception of 10 that I have to do a hand physical mail to, have been notified, as well as the media. It's been posted online on our website, and we've met the requirements under the law for the circulation. The application has also been sent to the 2 incumbents so that they have access to it as well. And that's really the extent of my update on this matter. I have not fielded any phone calls yet about it, but I would imagine that as word starts getting out, that that'll change. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I'm sure it's in the packet, but I forget. What is the deadline for application?
Yes, the deadline for the application is July, I believe I said it as July 31st, or sorry, July 3rd.
Yeah, July 3rd.
July 3rd, 3,
Yes.
1, 2, 3?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Before July 4th.
I appreciate the update. I have a question about how you recruit. So you're going to put the word out, I get that. They can't be a special district board member or anything. So is there any way that you reach out to other people who might be interested? Well, how'd you do it last time?
Well, it's supposed to be a passive recruitment. If I reach out to folks to apply, that's almost like putting the finger on the scale. So that's the reason why the government code requests, whatever word you want to use, that we send it out to all the public agencies within the county. Because then at that point, those elected officials can spread the word, or those, because it can't be either an elected or an appointed official. So you can't have general managers or city managers or the county CEO applying for this position. But if they know someone who's interested, they could recruit on our behalf. So I can't go out there and do that active, recruitment, but other folks can.
Is there any prohibition to putting it in the local newspapers of any kind?
No, that's a requirement. We have to circulate it.
You
Those
do
have been
that?
sent to, yeah, and those have been sent to all the media, both in print and in TV.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, and radio, too.
All right, thank you. Next item, please.
And Mr. Chair, for item 10, we do not have any public comment. The next item is Executive Officer Commission Council, Astro Sheet, Correspondence, and CalAFCO Quarterly Report.
Mr. Chair, Ms. Grabo will give you an update on the Astra sheet. Regarding the CalAFCO Quarterly Report, that's a new initiative from the new-ish Executive Director for CalAFCO. She'll be sending those quarterly updates on the association, so those will be included in your packet as we receive them. Relating to any correspondence or anything work-related, I do want to highlight, it's not here, but we'll do it anyway, the budget update where we had a snafu with a couple of funding agencies, but we're now, I'm happy to report, 94% funded. So we're just waiting on one large check and then the few little checks, but otherwise we're, from a financial standpoint, we're good. And then I'll hand it over to Ms. Grabo.
Great. Good evening, Commissioners. So just to highlight a couple things that we're working on in-house, we have the Flora and Resource Conservation District detachment. That'll probably be coming to the Commission late summer, early fall. Omo Chimney Hartnell, no, I'm slaughtering that name, so I apologize, OH Water District. We are on their second review of the MSR in-house, and it'll be sent out to the district soon. Metro Fire MSR was sent to staff earlier this week, so we are actively reviewing that as well. Sac Sewer annexation of Hood and Franklin will be coming to you guys in August. The countywide MSRs for the cemeteries and within the county is currently being worked on. As of the calendar, you guys approved RSG working for the City of Sacramento MSR. Fulton El Camino is moving forward, as well as Southgate. Parks and Rec will be coming, I think, in August for your review, and Orangeville Rec and Park MSR is actively being worked on. So pretty busy, but that's all I have for you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to add that essentially we're currently in year 1.5 of your 5-year MSR project plan. The intent is for a year from now to give you a halfway point of where we're at with the MSRs, since those are being generated on a fairly good clip. Plus, we have a member of staff who is dedicated to working on MSRs as well. So we should have a really good update for you a year from now in terms of where we started, where we're at right now, and where we're going.
Thank you. Mr. Hume.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to save this for commissioner comments and questions, but since we're discussing it, I'll go ahead and mention it now. The MSR process, am I understanding from you that there is an MSR plan, much like a capital improvement plan, that lines out the MSRs that we will be undertaking for the foreseeable future?
That's correct. There is an MSR project plan that was started and completed in 2024, with year one being 2025. And so what the commission did, for folks in the audience, we have 7 cities, 63 independent special districts, and I think 10 dependent special districts. That's a lot of MSRs, and we cannot complete that within 5 years. So the project plan essentially has, we split all those agencies into two categories. So there's a 5-year plan for the first category, and then in 2030 we'll switch to the second category and update those MSRs. And the plan is essentially that each agency's MSR will not be more than 10 years old by the time we complete the cycles. So because right now we had a huge rush of MSRs that were done, but most of them are, when I started, the majority of them were completed in 2008. Mm-hmm. And there were a few that were updated more recently, but for the most part, a lot of them were 2008, and they just get stale after a while. So the intent is to keep them as fresh as possible with the resources the LAFCO has.
And is there a process to add or prioritize a new MSR?
Yes, it is part of that project plan. Your commission has prioritized the categories of districts that will be studied, mm-hmm. and essentially put them in. I don't want to say order, but that's not the right word. But basically, try to coordinate them so that they're in the same category. So you will have all your water districts reviewed and they're of a certain vintage, all your fire districts reviewed and of a certain vintage. So there is I don't want to say prioritization, but there is an order to which these MSRs are being done.
Okay, so now we're getting to the meat of the issue of what I'd really like to ask.
Yes.
Which is, down in the South Delta, there are 3 fire districts that have contiguous boundaries. Mm-hmm. Delta Fire, River Delta Fire, and Ileton Fire Department. I did not look specifically for Ileton, but Delta Fire and River Delta Fire, their last MSR was in 2014. I know that one of those districts actually contracts with a fire district from a different county, which I have questions regarding the legality of that, of using taxpayer resources from one county for an agency in another county. So that would be one question. Second question is, I know that Ileton is, should come as no surprise to anyone, struggling right now. I think they're coming out of their tailspin a little bit, but one of the problems that seems to be pernicious is the fire department. They just let their fire chief go, and I think the acting city manager had installed himself as fire chief, at least on a temporary basis. It's a strange situation. I have heard through the rumor mill that they are looking at also coordinating with a fire district outside of the county. I'm not in favor of that. I think there's legal issues. I think there's issues of if the bridge is up because a ship's going through, that creates a real public safety issue. And so what I would be curious is it appropriate, or could a commissioner request, and I don't even know that an MSR is the right document, but something that examines the economy of scale and or consolidation of those fire districts in order to serve Tyler, Andress, Sherman, and the southern portion of Grand Island.
Yes, fire districts are within the current scope of the 5-year plan. So you can move them up in the ladder because they're within that category. So yes, it can be requested. It would have to be a vote of the commission entirety, and we can put that on the agenda for the next, for the August meeting so that you can give staff that authorization. We can outsource it. There are several consulting firms that will be independent and will be, and they're fire district focused, so they will be able to provide expert recommendations to you. So all of that can be done. The question about the contracting with a district outside of the county, that actually there's nothing illegal about that. That's perfectly politically it's a different question, but from a legal standpoint, there's nothing there. But yes, the commission can direct staff to basically that the next priority we're on the, I think, well 3/4 into the Sac Metro review process. So as that winds down, we can ramp up the review of the Delta districts.
And in that review, even if we're not prompted by any of the agencies, can we examine economy of scales and consolidation?
Yes, that can be part of the scope to be given to the consultants. You know this better than I do. A lot of these communities have very long roots, and they will resist any attempts at consolidations just because of their history. But that is something that can be within the scope of the consultant to explore what would it take to consolidate these districts to achieve certain economies of scale, or maybe some operational consolidations if you don't have a political one. So there's different ways of being able to get to the heart of what you're requesting, and that can all be put on the scope of the fire RFP.
Okay. Well, if my fellow commissioners will indulge me, I'd like to have that agendized for the August meeting.
Certainly.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Hume. I really appreciate you bringing that up. I am in total support because that's been quite a consternation in terms of service, emergency service delivery. And LAFCO is in a unique position to help encourage, or LAFCO initiated consolidations. We get into all the ramifications of LAFCO law and percentages and approval for voters. I know there's CKH 56133 about delivery of services outside of boundaries, and that gets us in right there to evaluate that. So I very much appreciate you bringing this to the Commission's attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Do we have any further items?
We do not have any public comments. All right, Mr. Chair, item number 12 is Commission Chair and Commissioners.
Does anyone have any additional comments or questions that they'd like to bring up? Seeing none. All right, we will.
You can adjourn to closed session, which will be in hearing room 1.